What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about why I think that revolvers are still legitimate um, handguns to carry in 2024. I don't think they're obsolete. They might not be the latest and greatest. They might not offer the firepower that semi-autos have in 2024. But they are still for the civilian. Now, I'm not saying for police officers. I'm not saying for military. I'm not saying for competition shooters, although if you're Jerry Michalik, you're legit. So you can run a revolver. But what I'm saying is for the civilian concealed carry market, where odds are in the 90% range, I'll probably guarantee you that you will never draw your concealed carry gun to protect yourself, let alone shoot it and use it. But much like car insurance and other type of life insurance and stuff like that, that's basically why people carry these. Not just revolvers, but why they carry handguns in general. Is it's insurance against being the victim of a crime or a murder, whatever it is. They carry it as a shield, as insurance just in case. And just in case they want to be prepared. But odds are a revolver of any type will be sufficient for you to defend yourself. Now, I want to read about, in case you guys haven't ever heard about this, about a real life scenario. And now, of course, this is not going to be all encompassing. This is not going to be every scenario that somebody might get into. And I'm not saying rely on this, because this is what will happen to you if you get into a gunfight and you have a revolver. But this is a real world example of somebody who defended themselves and other people with a 5-shot, much like this, 5-shot J-frame Smith & Wesson. And you could say won the day. So I'm going to read this off to you. If you've heard this before, you know the story. If not, maybe I'll teach you something. So on July 25th, 1993, 4 terrorists entered the St. James Church in South Africa, in Cape Town, I think it was. And they started shooting. They were armed with R4 assault rifles, which is the South African, like Valmet, the AK style, hand grenades, and Molotov cocktails, okay? They killed 11 people and wounded 58 with the assault rifles and the hand grenades. They had not used the Molotovs yet. One man, I don't know if you say his name, Charles or Carl, it's C-H-A-R-L, Charles Van Wyk, W-Y-K, was carrying a 5-shot. He was a member of the congregation. 5-shot Smith & Wesson J-frame, okay? He returned fire on the terrorists, striking 1 hit and wounding 1. And causing the rest of them to flee. At that point, all 4 terrorists stopped their attack and fled the church, abandoning their plan to firebomb it. So their plan was, and they were all caught and all this other kind of stuff, but the plan was go in there, shoot up a bunch of people, throw some hand grenades, then firebomb the place and get out of there. Because Mr. Van Wyk returned fire with a 5-shot 38 and scored a hit on one of the terrorists. Now, I don't know if he fired all 5 shots at that one terrorist and only scored 1 hit. I don't know if he fired 1 shot at each. I don't know how the exchange of gunfire went. And I read in earlier reports, I couldn't find it in this one, but I want to say the distance, if it's not correct, somebody correct me in here, was probably, I think they estimated like 30, 35 yards, somewhere around there. And he scored a hit with a 38 special J-frame, 5-shot revolver. At that point, the terrorists were like, oh shit, and they fled. And they did not end up firebombing the church, and they ceased their attack. So he didn't, and I don't think he ended up killing it. I think he just wounded it. But it stopped the attack, and that was the key. The key was not to get headshots on everybody with a J-frame that would have been nice, and kill them all. But it effectively did what it was supposed to, ended the attack, stopped the massacre, and probably saved I don't know how many people. But my point is a 5-shot. Now, I guarantee you that man wished he had a rifle in that church, Mr. Van Wyk. I guarantee you as he's shooting, he's probably like, oh shit, all I got is this little thing. But it proves that something like this can be pressed into a defense situation, a defensive, a situation, even against multiple attackers in a terrorist attack, not just one guy trying to steal your wallet or something like that. But I guarantee you, he probably did say, "Gosh, I wish I had a high capacity or modern semi-automatic 9mm, or probably a rifle." But we can't all walk around with rifles because people would get all loony about it and stuff. So we carry what we can. Now it's a balance of comfort. Most people carry for comfort; they really do. And revolvers, if you haven't carried one, revolvers are comfortable, and a lot of times they're very reliable. They're easy to just slip in your pocket, even safe because they're double action. And you don't have to worry about shooting yourself in the ding dong if you're a dude. Well, nowadays, I don't know. You don't have to worry about shooting yourself with, a light trigger if you have a single action, whatever. A lot of people civilians still carry a revolver and don't carry any reloads with it. Because typically you're not going to run into, you're not going to be fighting your way out of a massacre. You're usually going to be fighting one, maybe two. Now criminals seem to be doubling up a lot nowadays. So you might run into multiple attackers, but I think they still have the statistics as 3 shots is an average. 3 shots is an average self-defense shooting, civilian self-defense shooting. So you have to get a balance between firepower, okay, between comfort, between carryability, how easy is it to reload, yada, yada. All this kind of stuff goes into it. How expensive is the gun? How hard is it to operate? I'm going to tell you what. Let's get this one up. 686 plus. So this is a 7-shot revolver. This is fantastic. But I'm going to tell you what, a lot of older people, okay, who have hand strength issues, and they'll usually pick a gun that's easy for the slide to rack and stuff like that, but they will also choose revolvers because all you got to do is push the little cylinder release, and there you go. There's your 7 shots of 357 Magnum. So 357 Magnum can handle anything walking around on 2 legs and then some. So if this is your nightstand gun in 2024, don't feel undergunned. With this, you will probably never have to use it. And if you do, 7 shots of 357 Magnum is formidable, okay? Keep you 1 speed loader in your nightstand too. So the revolver again, not for military, not for police, for civilian use, I think is perfectly acceptable. Is it ideal? No, in my opinion, it is not ideal. Is it acceptable? In my opinion, yes, it is acceptable for home defense and concealed carry, especially, which I believe is the most important thing, especially if this is if this gun is the gun, meaning a revolver in general, if this gun is the gun that you shoot the best, this is your defensive gun. Whether it's this one, by the way, this is at 19-5, which is right after they don't have the recessed cylinder and they started putting the little Smith & Wesson emblem on this side instead of this side. They switch over, but this is awesome. Yeah, this is freaking awesome. 357 Magnum. Excuse me. 6 rounds of 357 Magnum. Here's kind of an updated version, although this is the Smith & Wesson 686. Model 66 Combat Magnum. So this is 6-shot 357 Magnum. This is 6-shot 357 Magnum. I think this one's cooler just because it's older. It's got the vibe. It's got the fixed front sight. It's got the firing pin on the hammer. God, I'm getting off track. So if you are a person that and they're out there, I've seen them, that struggle to shoot semi-autos or have issues with semi-autos, and you can shoot the hell out of a revolver. If you are more accurate with this, if you are more, what's the word I'm looking for? Proficient with a revolver, you should carry a revolver because the key is putting shots on target. If you are more comfortable with shooting a revolver and you are more accurate and you are more proficient, and maybe you're older and you just grew up learning on revolvers, or maybe you like revolvers. Maybe you're a gun collector and you're like, man, I'm a revolver guy. And you're a newer gun owner, but you really are into revolvers. Don't feel undergunned with this. this will definitely take care of anything you need out there. Now, ammo capacity is an issue. However, if you practice a lot, you typically won't have any issues with that. Also, revolvers tend to be more difficult to master, especially the double action. People struggle a lot. They are more difficult to master in the double action mode. And people usually end up giving up because and they'll go to a semi-auto, which has typically a lighter trigger and are easier to shoot and carry more bullets if you miss or make mistakes. Now, it's a lot different than shooting on the flat range at stationary targets. A gunfight is more dynamic. You're both moving. You could be both shooting at, that's why I call it the two-way range. You could be both shooting at each other. So, as we saw in famous shootouts like the Miami shootout, they ran out of bullets. They were trying to reload. Bad guy advanced on them and killed, I think, a couple of them when they're in the middle of reloading their revolvers. Although there's a lot of factors to this type of stuff. Although arguably the best shot in that group, who had a Smith semi-auto 9mm and 3 magazines, if you watch the Paul Harrell thing, that's probably the best video he's ever done. He lost his glasses and he was practically legally blind from all accounts, so he couldn't see nothing, so he wasn't hitting. So there's that. It's a lot of factors that go into life and death situations and gun battles. But I just gave you 2 examples where, one, the FBI shooting, where you could say revolvers kind of failed in the fact that they took longer to reload. They were harder to shoot. And I don't know if they were, being that the ones in the FBI shootout, I think were 38 special, they didn't incapacitate the target. But then they also, the other story I just gave you with the church shooting in South Africa, where it ended the threat. It ended a multiple assailant, 4 people, 4-person multiple assailant terrorist attack was ended with 5 rounds of 38 special from a J-frame. So, take all that into account. My biggest thing to you is, if you like revolvers, and this one's kind of cool, it's a Taurus 327, so you get 6 rounds of 327 Federal Magnum in basically the size of a 5-shot 38 special cylinder. It's kind of cool. But if this is the most comfortable gun, and revolvers are, even though they have the wide cylinders, man, I'm telling you, they are comfortable to carry. They really are, even on the hip and a holster, but especially in a pocket. If this is what you're going to carry, do not feel undergunned with this. I will recommend that you practice a lot with it. Get that double action pull down, practice a lot with double action. Don't always cock the hammer, because you won't always get a chance to do that. But in my opinion, in 2024, I think revolvers are perfectly acceptable. Please pay attention to what I said. Not ideal, acceptable for civilian, concealed carry, and defensive use. All right, in 2024, I think they are a viable option, especially for a bunch of different reasons that are people's personal reasons. And that's the other thing too. I never want to tell anybody what not to carry, what to carry. If they ask my advice, I'll tell you what I think, what I carry, and I carry stuff off the beaten path too. So if this is what you are into and what you can shoot the best and what you practice with, go for it, man, all day long. I think they are perfectly acceptable. And I dig them, man. I dig revolvers too. So thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next time.